Okay, so we are here at the His Dark Materials finale called Betrayal. So the episode opens with Miss Coulter on one of her Zeppelins here, and there's just like weird Magisterium voice playing in the background, just saying what they need to get accomplished. I thought was strange. It also just reminded me of the character of the Cardinal and wondering where has he been? We haven't seen him since like episode 3, so I thought that was also strange. He hasn't made an appearance since then. And now we cut to Lord Asriel, and his demon, the snow leopard, is saying the Aurora is strong. The child is here. And Asriel's saying it's time. So then we get the opening credits, and then it cuts now to Lyra going to Lord Asriel. And she says, "You don't want me here?" This line was strange to me because last episode at the end, we literally saw him yell at her, "Why did you come here?" So yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want you there. And that's just, again, the weird editing about the show as a whole and how it ends with such tension last week, and then it just kicks off like this is their first encounter. Again, feeling like there's just scenes missing. So she mentions to him that she knows he is her father, but this scene really didn't hit home for me. And that to me is not on the actors or the directing. It's actually a fault of revealing so early that Asriel is the father. In the books, this is where she actually finds out that it's her real dad and has a bigger effect. I think the show showed a lack of confidence and wanting to get people on board by giving the two big reveals of Miss Coulter being her mom and Asriel being her father early on. And I disagree with it because now you're paying the price of when these scenes were really supposed to show up, they don't feel as much of an impact, and already knowing he's the dad takes away from that in this moment. It makes it more lackluster. Why not save these big reveals for a type of finale episode and when they're actually in person together? So she gives Asriel the lithiometer and he says he doesn't need it. So she snaps at this. She's like, "I came all this way and you call yourself a father, having not wanted what I worked so hard to do for you and get for you?" And he says, "I think that's the point. I never called myself your father." So what this episode did really well, and it starts here, is just kind of getting us now to really understand the truth about Lord Asriel and who he really is as a person. And it's great to see James McAvoy back again because it really is a small role but so important. Then there's just another odd scene it cuts to with Miss Coulter, and she's talking to Father McVale, and she says at one point, "What is your sin, I wonder? Lust, greed? No, it's envy. You want what Asriel and I have, shortness in step, conviction." I don't really understand the point of a scene like this. It didn't have a payoff later on in the sense of Father McVale. It kind of just established again, which we already knew, that Asriel and her are very dominant types and leaders and strong in their convictions like she's saying, but it just feels like a useless cutscene. So then we cut to my least favorite story, which has been this Will side story, and it shows Lord Boreal in this world finding out about this knife that's in this tower that's going to be very important, and that Will lead him to it. Why can't we leave some mystery things and big things for season 2? Why do we have to keep showing stuff that you don't even find out till midway in the second book? Come on, what is the point of that? Why are we showing all our cards so fast? I just don't understand it. Like I was saying about showing the reveals of the parents too early, now you're going to show reveals for season 2 already when you're already lowering the impact of that when it actually comes into play. What is it adding even putting that here right now? So we see that Roger is a little gentleman when he goes to see Lyra and she's in the tub, and he says, "I walk in backwards and I will sit down backwards." I really love the actor playing Roger. He's doing a phenomenal job. And he's saying to her how he's noticing Asriel's being weird towards him and how he had such an affection towards him when he first saw him. Where Lyra, frustratingly, this is a blind spot to her and really doesn't catch on to this until it's too late. But Roger has a line here I really like where he was like, "Parents are more trouble than they're worth. He had problems with his parents. We could just pretend we're orphans." So as a viewer, you're just watching this realizing Roger's having all these big moments and sentiments towards Lyra, and you just are like, uh-oh, here comes his death. This is Roger's swan song. In the middle of this, we cut again now to Will's storyline and Lord Boreal, and he's doing the classic villain trope where he's yelling at his assistant for messing up, but really his assistant didn't mess up that much at all. I mean, he's yelling at him that he didn't get the kid Will, but like the assistant says, "You never told me I had to grab Will as well. I had to get the letter." So I was like, yeah, the assistant's right here. Honestly, it just feels like if you took all the Will scenes from this season and played them back to back, let's say in 2 full episodes, it would probably have turned off so many viewers and is probably some of the worst storytelling you'll see on television. It feels like they're just hiding it and pushing it through to set up season 2 storyline for Will behind the strong scenes in season 1. And like I said, what suffers because of this is not getting to know characters like Serafina anymore, Lee Scoresby. You're just missing character moments. There's only so much screen time for everybody. And Will is such a big part in the future, and giving him stuff in season 1, I just don't know if they're so worried about having that, oh my god, if we don't show him in season 2, we're gonna have to give him his own episodes, and that might shock people and make people turn off. I don't think it would. I think it would add more mystery and like, who is this person? What does that have to do with Lyra? Like the books did. I just don't get it. And I'll get more into that with the final scene, because there's something else that frustrates me about having Will so early. So we see that Roger and Lyra made a fort, and their little demons are playing with each other as they are, which was cute. And he's thanking her for changing his life. And Roger just showing that Lyra was important for him because he gave her that bravery that he never really had, and that just leaving Jordan. But this is crazy because it is truth what he's saying. But Lyra is also, as a result of this, going to feel guilt later on when Roger dies, because she's the one who took him here, and she's going to feel responsible in a sense that he's even a part of her journey with all this suffering. So Lord Asriel comes to take Lyra in the middle of the night to talk to her, and this is where my favorite scene of the season happens. And this is where Jack Thorne, who's wrote every episode, where his writing stands out is in deep character moments. And Asriel's explaining that the Magisterium thinks dust is the sin that's raining from the sky, causing evil, and it happens in puberty, and that they claim dust basically as original sin. Kind of funny hearing the Adam and Eve version in this story where Eve has a demon. But he goes into big religious themes here where he's like, I don't understand how they believe we're born guilty for the crime of somebody else eating an apple. This is all on the word of authority. And dust has given them the means how to frighten us and control us. So this is deep themes about religion and how it can be used for fear and to control the masses. And it explains more into the mother's mindset, where Miss Coulter, we learn, thinks cutting the demons preserves our sinless souls, and that's why she would do that. So they start connecting a bunch of dots here, as does Lyra, and Asriel's impressed by her, understanding that the main question is, what is dust? But Asriel's plan starts getting revealed here when he explains that there's a huge release of energy when a demon is separated from its human. And then he mentions to Lyra how there's other worlds and he wants to find a bridge to it. And we learn that dust is what makes the lithiometer work. And he says to Lyra, you didn't come from nothing, Lyra. You're the product of something extraordinary. So Lyra gets a little smile here. This is where a great actor can make an actor that's pretty good a lot better, and that is happening here with McAvoy with Dafne Keen. They have a great chemistry together, and he brings out the best in her. This scene was just really good, and I wish we had more moments like this during the season as a whole. And it also shows you, like I was saying, that Jack Thorne's writing, this is his strength. And these deep scenes that have exposition in them, but they're also letting you in on these characters' mindsets and what they're about. Where he struggles in writing is pacing, planning out a story, and showing his cards too fast. And that's where I hope season 2, we get more of an array of different writers working on this, not just Jack Thorne. He needs other voices in there to find his blind spots for him. And that's the struggle of having one writer do a whole season. It's a lot of material to cover, and it does usually work better as a collaboration. And then just another useless cutscene to me where we again see Lord Boreal talking about the knife to himself and saying how the boy will lead him to it and how it's important. Great. Thank you. So Lyra wakes up and Roger is gone, and she has been played by her father. This will start his betrayal of her, title of the episode. And Lyra goes outside, screams for Yorick, and he decides to bring the bear guards as well. And they're now going to rescue Roger. She connects the dots just from Asriel saying and mentioning that a huge amount of energy is released and that he's planning to do this with Roger to separate him from his demon. So Asriel gets Roger to come with him by telling him it's a surprise for Lyra they're doing. So when Miss Coulter shows up to Asriel's place, he's not there anymore, but his sidekick is, and he knocks out Father McVale. And Coulter asks the sidekick, what is Asriel up to? Is his plan to pour dust and evil onto the whole world? But you see here, she actually likes his sidekick, knew him from before, and lets him off the hook. And she even mentions how she believes Asriel hasn't treated any of them well, including the sidekick himself. So there is some good in Miss Coulter, because like she said, she could have easily had him killed by the Magisterium. So it complicates her character more, which I like. And this episode as a whole, I think successfully made Miss Coulter a little more gray and made you like her a little more. And in the other end, made Asriel more dark here and made you like him a lot less. So we see another Will cutscene. He's paranoid now about this cop in the cafe, and you'll see him again paranoid outside with cops kind of just around the area. They don't stress enough though how actually fearful and guilty Will feels for possibly killing somebody by pushing him off that ledge, which was so vital in his character in the book, maybe that's a decision of the show. I can't really fault that yet because we don't know. Maybe they want to take a different direction with that, but it's just weird that they hint at it here, but they don't really explain it well for someone who hasn't read the book. But as much as I'm complaining about Will's storyline, I do love the actor playing Will. I think he is awesome. So Miss Coulter and her Zeppelins appear now to the bears and Lyra, and they start shooting at the bears. It was a really cool scene with Lyra running backwards and then a bear falling in front of her. But it is a pretty odd sequence, and it never really has a resolution, this action scene. We don't go back to it because Yorick tells Lyra, here, jump on my back, I'm gonna take you up this mountain. But you had all these explosions going on and you don't ever get an end result of what happened with those Zeppelins, what happened with those bears. We don't know. They just faded out into the background. Very weird, especially in a finale. This show has to have a record amount of stuff I've seen in any recent show where it's just missing scenes. So this is where Asriel now grabs Roger, throws him in his makeshift separator, and it was cool seeing the snow leopard demon grab Roger's demon here. And Asriel says to Roger, in war there are casualties, but this is important because this is a war to free humanity. So James McAvoy really plays this well. He plays it well when he's about to pull down the saw onto Roger and his demon, because he's showing that, yes, there's some feelings of humanity there where he doesn't want to actually do this, but you see in his face it is an ends justify the means type of thing in his head, that to him it's worth it to murder a child here for the greater good in his beliefs. And it was cool to see Pan turn to a bird here to look up and see what was really going on. So I really love how the moment when he actually murders Roger, separates the demon, Lyra gets one last look at him in the cage, and then boom, it happens. The light comes out, that all that energy he was talking about to open up that gateway to another world. And it's really sad. I mean, it solidifies Asriel here. Anyway, look at it as a villain. Killing an innocent child there's nothing to justify that, which worked really well because it is a big, shocking thing to the audience too, as in Lyra's case, that her own father would do this to her and to Roger. So Miss Coulter shows up behind Asriel before he leaves, and he says to Miss Coulter, the Magisterium's reign will end when the world sees all of this. No more abuse, no more suppression of knowledge. And he's like, see that light? That is the sun of another world. Feel the warmth of it on your face. I love how both of these actors played this scene, especially Ruth Wilson, because Miss Coulter is such a complicated character, and you see here just confirms where her head's at, and he knows it, that she's all about power and control, and she'll go wherever she can get that, and she wants to have an impact on the world just like him. And he's trying to work that. He's like, come with me, we'll work together, help me fight this war, we'll take on authority. And I love the demons here start snuggling the leopard and the monkey, which is pretty funny, and then they start macking it. But she makes clear, when he's trying to sell to her, you're an ambitious person, come change the world with me, she's like, but my child is in this world. I want her. This is your journey, not mine. So you see the difference in their characters, where Asriel will put all of his life's goals and dreams and meaning, he believes, and purpose over his own daughter, where Miss Coulter actually sways the opposite, where she has those same ambitions but still chooses her daughter in this moment, which again kind of gets you to like her a little more and Asriel a lot less. And that was just another great scene in the season, and it just shows you when you have two powerhouse actors together, you can get a lot of magic. But it's interesting too because Miss Coulter sees Roger here dead in the cage, but thank God Lyra was hiding. She didn't actually see Lyra and didn't even know she was there. So we see now this touching scene where Lyra is holding on to Roger, and I love how they had the door to the other world and all that light above them. And Pan says, we need to find dust. What if it isn't bad? What if it needs protecting? And Lyra says, find dust before he does? That means we would be alone. Pan says, we've always been alone, apart from Roger. Great line, very sad. That's a tear-jerking moment right there. And really well done by the voice actor of Pan. And Pan saying we should make sure his death is not in vain, to justify also like just leaving him there, which is a little odd, but they know they got a mission here. So Lyra's now going into this new world, and we see Will on the other side going into his opening. But I'm so frustrated because I think it would have been way more exciting and thrilling and get you pumped for season 2, not knowing what was on the other side and who she's about to see. And it takes away from that mystery. Because we know Will now. We know his world. I really think they would have been fine having a premiere just with Will and meeting a new character. It's been done before in shows and it's fine. What do you think, you're going to lose the audience because Lyra's not in one episode? I don't get it. I'm just not as excited as I feel like I should be for season 2 because of it. So as a whole though, specifically for this episode, I thought the first 20 minutes were pretty dull and lackluster. But The final 30 minutes were great. Despite having this odd action sequence that really had no resolution, you still had just standout scenes with Asriel explaining a lot to Lyra, and Asriel and Miss Coulter scene was really good. You add a big player like McAvoy into an episode, it's going to bring things up a lot naturally. I wish the pace of this episode was more like this kind of medium pace the whole season, have more character moments and let things breathe a bit, because the season as a whole was just so rushed. So I'm going to give this finale an 8.7. I think that's fair. I think it was pretty damn good. Wasn't amazing, but I think it's also suffering from a lot of missteps in the season as a whole, where I don't even know how high a potential you could have gone here for this finale. I didn't expect much, but I thought it was pretty good. So my rating for the season as a whole, now that it is finished, would be 8.2. I loved the beginning of the season. I liked the finale, but it got messy and hyperspeed way too fast in the middle, and the inclusion of Will was a chore for the viewer to me and wasn't necessary yet. Save it for season 2. The character of Serafina was a complete bust. She was just an info dump character, nothing to her, and the Egyptians, wasn't a fan of them, wasn't a fan of Tony Costa's haircut, and in the end he just didn't feel as much magic at this series as you'd want, and passion to it and emotions. Another disappointment for me was Dafne Keen's performance as Lyra. I think she's kind of shown ultimately she's pretty limited as an actress, where she was great in Logan, but that was also her strengths, and being angry and crazy, and moments like this in the show she was great, being angry, being mad, but when she has to show true understanding of her character, truly get sad and handle some big scenes, big emotional moments, she just did not bring it. And yeah, people say, oh, you're being hard on a child actor. But again, the standard's been raised. Look at Millie Bobby Brown in Stranger Things. Look at Will in Stranger Things. His performance was incredible in season 2. These are all child actors. And even in this show itself, Roger was excellent, as was Will. So no, there's no excuse, but I think there's super potential for Dafne Keen. I didn't think she was bad. I think she's a good actress, but in season 2, I hope she can step up the more emotional scenes and work on that. And next season, like I said, let's get more writers working with Jack Thorne here, not just one voice. He needs someone to help right this ship and get that pacing issue resolved and get some characters fixed like Serafina. But the biggest positives to me were the portrayal of Uric Borenson, and I thought James McAvoy did great with the limited time he had as Asriel, and I really thought the best part of this was Ruth Wilson's portrayal as Miss Coulter. I thought she was a scene stealer, and any scene with her was usually pretty good. So I wonder how this show will do if she ends up having less screen time next season. We will see. But let me know what you thought of this episode as a whole, and let me know what you thought of this season as a whole. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep everything civil with each other. They're just opinions, nothing personal. And please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of the other shows I covered. I'll be doing The Outsider on HBO. I just finished up Watchmen. You can check those out. And right now I'll be doing Servant on Apple TV Plus and much more. I also do celebrity interviews, and I review movies from time to time, so you don't want to miss that. And please follow me at SteveVarley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more of me. And I'll see you next time.